What's up, everyone? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tsla, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers, and break down how the market's looking in the pre-market and some very important levels to watch for, not to mention our economic calendar. But let me just mention that I am not a financial planner. Make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total. And the offer ends very soon, in just about 2 days from now. Anyways, now let's talk about the markets. Right now, if you look at how things are looking, right now, SPY is trying to push a little bit higher, approaching resistance very close to about the 547 area. And our support to watch for is at not just 546, but also 544. We watch to see if SPY could hold up at these levels. But right now, we have a bullish setup. We'll have to see if this ends up playing out or not. But so far, it's looking quite decent. So I'll talk more about this in just a minute. Just note that in terms of data, okay, at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the Dallas Fed Manufacturing Index reports. This is 1 hour after the market opens. There might be some volatility. And then at 11:30 a.m., we have the 3-month and 6-month bill auctions. This might cause some volatility as well. So wait for this. But I can't wait to see what ends up happening, especially later on during the week. Just remember that when it comes to earnings, okay, for today, we just had McDonald's, which came out, and we have very, very minor ones coming up. But going forward, okay, for Tuesday through Thursday, that's when earnings become very, very serious. We have SoFi and PayPal before the market opens on Tuesday, AMD and Microsoft as well. Wednesday, we have the FOMC meeting, Jerome Powell giving a speech, not to mention Meta's earnings. And Thursday, we have Apple, Amazon, Intel, and Coinbase. So we have big earnings coming up. It's going to cause some crazy volatility. And so far, the market is trying to push a bit approaching these earnings. McDonald's was one of the first to announce theirs for today, and unfortunately, things are not too good for them. It's very, very interesting because EPS was actually a miss for them at $2.97. Revenue was at $6.49 billion below expectations. They're also talking about having to cut costs even more. So things are not looking too good. Same store sales decreased 0.7%. Their overall growth is also slowing down. And it's not looking too great in my personal opinion. So we'll just have to see how things kind of progress from here. So on top of all of this, what do I see for the markets, at least moving forward? Right now, if you look at SPY, if we break this resistance, I'm basically watching this area right here at 547. We need to see this break. We need to hold above this. If we do hold above this, we'll be looking for 550 as our next potential target. If we end up rejecting, you want to be looking at this support over here at our 50 EMA, 545.14. If SPY were to lose that, we have a gap to fill all the way down to 544. And then if that breaks, our next target is 542. So you want to be very careful to see if SPY could hold up. If 542 breaks, we have a big gap to fill down to 539. So make sure you remember those levels. But what's good about SPY is the fact that we are on an uptrend right now. We have a nice wedge that's kind of forming. If we break this resistance and manage to hold above 547, I'll be looking for a push all the way up to 550 plus. And we're going to be in a decent place if we can try to hold above 546. That's going to give it some life. But breaking 547 would be a lot better. And that's going to lead to a bigger push if we can manage to do that. So we'll see how things go. So far, SPY is doing a decent job at holding up, especially when you look at like the 4-hour time frame, just real quick. The 4 hours looking pretty good. We'll see if we try to hold above this resistance right over here. So it's going to be very, very important to watch this very carefully, and then we'll just have to see how things go. Anyways, for others out there, we have ES. This has a nice looking wedge that's forming, so it's looking more bullish to me. With this wedge, we need to try to break resistance at 55.30. If 55.30 breaks, I'll be looking for 55.50. And if we end up rejecting, look at 5,500 flat as support. If that breaks, we turn back down. But this is favoring the upside for a nice bullish wedge, and this has more upside potential in my opinion. For SPX, we're getting tighter and tighter, but we have to try to break past this resistance over here at 54.80. If that breaks, and yes, we could get closer to filling that gap. If we end up rejecting, we lose support down here at 54.40, then we could be dipping back down. But with this double bottom, this does favor upside a little bit more, but I need to see it try to break past resistance at 54.80, the 54.87 area. If we break that, then yes, I'll be looking for that push. So give it some time. So this is looking pretty decent. We are trying to rebound. We're testing our 50 EMA, which happened to dip all the way back down to about 223. The 223 is basically, if that breaks, I'll be looking for 225. I want to see Tesla break the 225s to turn more bullish. That's when we could be looking for 230 plus. If we end up losing 219, however, that's going to be our critical support. 215 is coming for Tesla. We're still within the range for Tesla, but we're at the upper end of it. So I want to see it break 225 to turn back up. Otherwise, we're just going to continue to consolidate. So I'm hoping we test 225. We'll see if we break it or not. But there is still some upside potential, and we'll have to see if it holds up, at least moving forward. For Nvidia is just getting really tight right now. It's not really doing much. We'll have to see how this ends up developing, at least as time goes on. There's potential for it to try to push a little higher and consolidates, but we're still range bound. If we lose 112, there's going to be a risk of downside. If you break 116, we're bullish. I do see potential in it to break one of those directions, but I'm not entirely sure yet. We're still consolidating, so give Nvidia some time. It's getting very, very tight right now. For the QQQ, we're just kind of trading flats, but I'll be watching to see if we can try to hold above 466. If we hold that, look at 468 and 470 plus, and eventually 472. If we end up losing support at 464, however, there's going to be a risk of us coming back down to about 463. So I'll be watching to see how well we hold up. I want to see if we can hold 466. If we do, there's going to be a nice rebound. So far, the market is rebounding. We did call this in my previous video, but we'll see if we can maintain these levels, right? Apple's looking a little bit lackluster. Unfortunately, we weren't able to crack past 220. Now we're dipping towards 216. If that breaks, we'll be looking for 214. We'll see if that holds that 216 area, so give it some time as well. For the IWM, we're kind of dipping a bit. Make sure you look at support towards 224 and also 222. And we have resistance all the way up here at 226, followed by 228. So we have a very, very interesting structure. It is possible we break higher. This could be forming like a cup and handle, in my opinion. So it's possible maybe it dips a bit and tries to bounce later. But if we break this resistance at 226, I'll be looking for 228 and 230. This still has upside potential, still holding up decently. Looking pretty good to me still. For Coinbase, we're going to see if this could try to hold above 250. As long as that holds, we could be looking all the way for 258 as long as we hold above 250. If we end up losing the trend line of support, that white trend line you see, if we lose this, I think we come back down to fill the gap at 243. I don't favor that. I think this favors more upside and wants to go into like the higher 250s. So we'll just have to see how it goes. I like the setups on Amazon. Has a nice inverse head and shoulders. Could be coming back up to fill some of these imbalances all the way up towards like the 187s. But watch 184. If we hold above 184, we're bullish. If we reject, look at 182 as support. If we lose that, we turn bearish. As of right now, it's on the upper end. So we'll see if 184 breaks for more upside, but it still has potential. We'll see if Meta could try to crack past 472. If that breaks, look at 474 and 478. If you reject, make sure you look at 466 as support and lower levels. This is favoring the upside, though, in my personal opinion. For Microsoft, this has a very, very nice looking inverse head and shoulders like structure, nice kind of like accumulation phase. So this is favoring upside a bit more for 434 and then eventually higher levels. If it fails here, we could be dipping back down and come down to this imbalance. But I still favor the upside a bit more for Microsoft. For Google, we're also favoring the upside. We have a nice kind of like inverse head and shoulders like structure. But I need to see this try to crack 172. If that breaks, this imbalance up here could also fill. So I see potential in Google, but I want to see it break past 172 for confirmation. Just real quick, GameStop, just consolidating, not really doing much right now. We did call this a little push that's coming. We want to see if we get a rejection very close to this 24.5 zone. If we reject here, this could be coming back down. If it breaks that, we could be pushing through the highs. So make sure you look at resistance and see if GameStop could break or not. There's a possible head and shoulders, so just be mindful of that and be kind of careful. And AMC is the same thing. We're just trading sideways. It has a bullish structure, though, which does open the gateways for us to potentially push up for like 5.5 again. So I see potential upside. So we'll see how things go. Anyways, that's it for my video. There's a bullish wedge forming on SPY. We'll see if the buyers defend this upon open. Remember, SPY has 547 as the key resistance. If that breaks and we hold above that, we could be looking for 550. If we lose 546, I'll be looking for that gap fill all the way down to like 544. I'm sorry, if we lose 545, I'll be looking for the gap all the way down here. And if 544 breaks, look for 542. As of right now, there's an uptrend on SPY. There is more upside potential, but we'll have to see if we break resistance or not. So that being said, I want to thank you all for listening. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys very soon in just a couple of hours for another update. Thanks again, and peace out.